What's up, TikTokians and all my double A's? I have good news today. Thank goodness. I'm going to try to see if some people come on. It is the 10th. It's the January 10th. And I'm going to get into a lot of it. I'm on because I'm wanting to work with y'all right now and everybody that's joining and merge with all of you to pick up. I got chills. Oh, hold on. Because it's how it works. And whenever we join together in a group, I've explained this on some of the other lives. So if you're not able to watch them, the ones that I know are pertinent for others to see, I upload on my YouTube channel, which is attached here. I woke up, well, I went to sleep finally was able to shower. Finally was able to get this mess off of me, which I want to talk about because this morning, and this might be a long one, because so all my cosmic alignments, I'm pushing this live out to anybody who has been involved with the time changes that we have been putting into effect since 2018. Because I woke up this morning, number one, with a fresh sight. It's a new sight. Now, I want to tell everybody that I'm usually a day ahead, or to some of you, 3 days ahead. So if you're not feeling this yet, know that, especially if you're watching, that anticipate this shift that I'm talking about right now. If y'all could just give me a couple of hearts, because I think maybe that helps get the feed out to others, because this is going to be the highest explanation that can be delivered right now until this, well, through the eclipse and the full moon, because what we're doing is we're aligning the cosmos. I even was guided to pull out my books that all the physics are written in, that all the planetary stuff that we've been tracking is written in. Chills again. And I'm going to explain what this is in a minute. What I'm seeing is a couple of things. Number one, if you're not aware, eclipses are time gates. Now we know. Since 2017 and that eclipse hit. Eclipses are literally what Project Philadelphia and what the government were using the Tesla stuff for, was for Project Paperclip. A paperclip and an eclipse, which is where our e-commerce and everything started coming into play, was all, whether or not intentional, conscious, or some of it even being developed because it's the flip opposite of it. So there, you all of it goes into the bag. But eclipses When I think about an eclipse, knowing everything that I know about the sun, the moon, cosmos, and the soul journey that I personally went on kind of as your leader through a time portal is what it ended up. And thank goodness my job is about over. I'll say it again. My job is over on January 25th. That is great for everybody else, especially me. When I say even the word eclipse right now for the first time, what I'm, and I've known pieces of this, but it's finally all connecting. What I'm seeing is the cosmos is like a giant cylinder. It works like a giant cylinder, and it has different settings. So if I had a tube, or if I had it, let me see if I've got anything around here that looks like it. If I don't. If I had a large toilet paper roll, that's what it looks like. And it has a setting for every density and layer, and basically whenever when the human evolves, and this, because this was always the experiment, it's also why it was set up this way, it's also why you had ones like me, because the pillars of creation and the 4 pillars of creation and true source would be in what the human, because there is deeper, but as far as what a human could hold, that's where we were at the bottom of the very last click in this cylinder, to where the human would hold a frequency. What eclipses do is when that eclipse lines up, what it does is it vibrates the cylinder, and then basically is an opening to where it's clipping on to another time period, or it's clipping on to another frequency that had already been laid, which is where we are now. 2018, I don't know if you were on the journey and you were one of us and you were tracking this, or you just felt it. It was January 31st, 2018. We had a new moon eclipse. And that, at that point, I was just awakened. There was a group of us ancients that were activated. And we had all gathered into another team. And it was made that way because what, and most of it for nefarious purposes, we would say, but from a galactic, not necessarily a human agenda. And this is even why I was hidden in this group. That January, when we first saw it, and I need to kind of tell you a little bit about this so that you understand the energy that's coming in. It was right after the 2017 eclipse that lined up, and basically when that 2017 eclipse lined up and on Lionsgate, what it did was, those of us that were at the very bottom, that very 4 ring, that now whenever we're down here and we're activating, we're sending out a pulsar across the bottom of everything. See, I'm just now really even, I'm getting more of this as we all unite to talk about it. That pulsar holds a floor. It holds a foundation. And what I'm seeing right now is that that's even what we would call the firmament. That's even what we would what stopped the rockets in the eclipse. This is why they sent them up into the eclipse. This is what even stopped the moon stuff that's going on right now, because those of us that, and all of you are attached to us no matter. And this is a cycle that as a human you have to come through no matter, okay? If you've already done it, you've done it. If you haven't, you'll go through it, but in a different way than we did, because we were the pioneers. You're a pioneer. If you're watching this right now, even if you, because you might not know the cosmic stuff, because that was my job and my crew's job, but you might have been doing, well, not might, you were doing, whatever you were doing was supporting what we were doing out there, down there, wherever, wherever we were, that part. My life changed completely. I had that 2017 eclipse. I basically been activated May 2017 in order to be conscious when that first eclipse happened. And that first eclipse was the first setup for what we then were calling the Great American Eclipse, which was supposed to be completed in 2022. And the 2017 eclipse hit Jefferson, Missouri, and then it was, the next one was supposed to hit a couple of years ago in Jefferson, Missouri. It's moved. It got pushed off and it got moved down into Texas. And now this October 14th eclipse that we just had was a repeat of that 2017 eclipse. And the second one's going to happen April 8th. And they're going to crisscross right around San Antonio, where this hinge was, not Jefferson, Missouri. I had to be in Jefferson, Missouri for that lineup in order to stop it. Now I know. I thought I needed to be there because I needed to be in the X marks the spot where those two lined up, and I thought at the time that that's why I needed to be there, and that I was going to have to be back for the next one. And this is the eclipse in 2017 that whenever I left Texas to go to it, my car engine blew in Oklahoma, in the middle of nowhere, in front of a tractor dealership with a hotel and a Brahms on a two-way Oklahoma road. And I was tripping out, because it was like I went through an energy gate that literally blew my car engine. When I got to that hotel, and I had $60 cash, that's all I had, and my family thought I was nuts, because they were like, what the hell, all of a sudden you need to drive a car, you have no money. You know, by this time they had already taken my company, they had already taken my house, they had already taken everything. I found out that night that I was there because I was shown to go to Google Earth and check out the plot of land I was on, and I was on top of an 80-acre Google plant. The ancient sigils that were around it, And I remember because I was so excited to finally get out of here, and our energy was so high. And I want you to know that that's what's returning. Our energy was so high. All of y'all were like pushing me. Now I know, almost like up on a freaking boat on a raft. And I was in the car, and I was like dancing, and I remember because I was getting all these downloads of everything that I was that Spirit wanted me to do, because I knew all this knowledge was coming in, but I didn't have any idea why. I didn't know why I was dealing with it. I knew I was gonna write 9 books. I knew that I was definitely involved in technology because of my background and where I've been and my whole story. And I remember I was asking Spirit, I was like, okay, what do you want me to do first? Am I supposed to concentrate on the books, or am I supposed to concentrate on the technology? And I have a picture, and I'll post it on the feed after this, but a giant, and just recently, Shell saw a picture it looks like a giant bird in the sky, a giant one lit up with lights. And it looks a whole lot like the one that appeared in the sky over this Google gate. And so when my engine, I had just asked Spirit that. Just asked. And then boom, there I am sitting on top of that Google warehouse. And I had to spend the night there, and then we were able to get, my parents had to get involved, which now I know is even why I've been stuck here in Texas, in this house, and why as a collective we had to heal my adopted parents, which were part of the template design. Now we know. And this is coming in right now. This is why I've been stuck here, because they had to come help me. I had to get but I did get to that eclipse. They trusted me enough to know she's got to go. They drove me there. We all 3 were there in Jefferson City, Missouri. When we opened that eclipse, what we did was go on the dark side of it. So, and I've got pictures of this too. I took pictures of the eclipse there, and I put the 3D, the glasses on the camera, and I have pictures of the density, the matter that blew out of that eclipse. And I don't even know how we were breathing. It was complete combustion. And I'm hearing of red blood cells. Now, I'm talking about 2017. What was happening is that we were at the foundation up here. When that clip opened, what we did in a way was shoot up and down through it, because we expanded. Boom! And this is any of us that had well, it affected the entire human race, but you wouldn't have been conscious to it unless you were conscious. Okay? It could have happened around you in different ways. And we entered a time portal. This was a 1,000,000-year reset. That what blew out was what I call galaxies, what I call even it was connected into the Alpha Draconic and Zeta races only because they were the furthest out, and almost like silicone and well, I wouldn't call it silly, maybe that foamy stuff, I can't remember, that plumbers use, that foamy stuff that goes around things to like seal stuff off, that white stuff that's like kind of spongy. That's what I'm seeing right now. And that's why I was hidden here. I was hidden here, and even in a weird way became your planet, became and even so much so that's how we ended up building what you call Planet X and Nibiru. But in a lot of ways, our full consciousness was always on Planet X or in Nibiru. And that's why you would see the cycles of it coming around. That's why humanity's seen the cycles of it coming around. But we weren't able before to get through that layer because we didn't have enough energy coming up from the human collective to attach, to bring it up, because everything had to come up and then we had to come down at the same time, and it had to have an energetic match. All of us that were sacrifices to the earth, that were involved in this from eons and eons and eons, always had done this cycle. But again, we would come around and it would line up, and we'd be able to get the frequency down here, and a lot of us weren't here on the plane at all, not in a physical form, mainly because it wasn't time yet, but also because it wasn't time yet. So throughout civilization, there's been basically like upgrade, raise, and periods like we just experienced in this lifetime, in other lifetimes, where everything changed down here in the physical realm because of what was going on up here. But the process of melting it together and forming it wasn't able to happen until all of us incarnated in the physical down here in order to produce that frequency, not only through the atmosphere, but through the human DNA form. Because a frequency, the same way that I'm describing as a pulse that will come off all of our energy fields and send like a ripple, is the same way that it works inside the body whenever you're dealing with your holy templates, is what we'll just call us. We'll just call us holy templates. And a lot of you became your full template self for the first time ever in your lifetimes or existences, because we had finally been able to ripple it through the body and ripple it through the human collective. The eclipses basically are opening up a piece of space and a piece at a time, and the frequency of where those lie on the chart, and where the sun and the moon are. Is it a solar eclipse? Is it a lunar eclipse? Where is it on the wheel that we're connecting to? Because that is what gate, if you will, or because it's not really, I mean, it kind of is a gate. The eclipse opens, you get a gate, but then it's like you're blasted to clear a large bubble. The group that I was with was bringing in and purposely had come into the realm in order to bring back all of the Egyptian stuff. They purposely laid all of the wars, the galactic wars of all the different races. That was the Akash that they were bringing in to all of us. And especially what they were doing was tuning us to that story, because at that point in 2017 we were just remembering the cosmos. We had just activated. A lot of us shock activated for it. We had the connections inside of us, but we weren't able to process completely what was going on, mainly because not enough humans had it. And not enough of us were connected at that point. Because whenever I activated, realized that those of us who activated like that were then basically in a room with ops, and that's it. Because everybody else had been managing that energy for the collective for a really long time over these other cycles, and they were well aware that the human race was going to go through this last cycle, and this last cycle was going to dictate what was going to happen for the next 1,000 and million years. A lot of people in that group are dead. What was purposely left out of those teachings, not only the fact that they were only preaching about the wars and this and this and that, which is even why we had to go walk through it. They weren't explaining the from Anu and the Egypt line. And if you go pull up Anu and you go pull up the Egyptian tribes, and you start looking at all the different names of the different pharaohs and the different beings that were involved in all that, and it'll lead you even down to the Elon tribe, FYI. Right underneath, and there might be a tribe in between Elon and Issacharius, but right underneath Elon is Issacharius. Well, that wasn't on any of their teachings. Now, and that was on purpose, because that was the connection into the bloodline. That was a connection into the cross. That was a connection into the ancient tribes and all of us that were here in the physical, connected into the bloodline of Yahshua, because your Egypt became your Essenes, your mummies became your Essenes. It was all a big system which built that pillar that we're talking about right now. We're the time capsules. All of us together down here that have been here for a really long time, never got out of the bubble. This is the first time that you're coming out of this bubble as a human. Our deaths, our bodies, our even the sedation, even the rock, even the mountains, all of that's connected to all of the lines that came before us. Whenever you're inside that cylinder, depending on who you are, you're picking all of that up as you're vibrating up and down through that cylinder. And what you're doing is putting out frequency matches to the cosmos, and as each line comes up, then those frequency kind of like ceilings and foundations are formed, and then each line, then each DNA line then has a new frequency target to hit, and this is how, you know, I say don't do anything. You know how the easiest way to stop doing bad crap? Realize that everyone in your DNA line is going to do what you do right now. Everybody. They're going to copy you. This was the easiest way for me to stay in balance, and to actually, why, you know, I'd rather you put me in a fucking blood spell and try to spinal tap me than join the fucking cult of Illuminati, for instance. It was a real easy decision for me, because I knew that one fact. Everything that I was doing since 2017 was affecting the line and setting a new ceiling for that line, because we had hit a plateau where we had never been as far up as that before, and we had to get all the way through and up this layer that even became the xenon layer, that became a whole bunch. It made 13 galaxies. It was so thick over time of us coming through and not making this full connection. They want me to come back to this. I'm just gonna read it. This is the cross. This came in. This was 2018, and I'm fixing to get to the new moon eclipse of January 2018, because that group, you know, we were all activating, some more conscious than others that were on there. Some and the majority of us did not know that it was a galactic impeachment, is what I want to call it. And in 2017, I mean, it was totally different than it is now. I mean, it used to take me 3 hours to upload. If I said the word alpha draconic, it would take me 3 hours to upload a video on YouTube, and you'd have to like sit there and push it and push it and push it through. The consciousness was so low, and we were so high and deep that everything was so much more difficult. if y'all give me thumbs up, if your hearts, if you were involved in that, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, nobody was talking about anything. If you said the word alpha drac or something like that, everybody freaked out. They were like reptile, you know, all this crazy, all crazy. So sedated. The entire world, the entire reality was so sedated, because we were just now bringing this knowledge and this frequency back in, and the reality was so low that we were having to punch through the layers, and that's been since 2017. It's been what we've been doing. It's why it's been such a difficult time and mission for us all. Now, the top of the cross, now I'm going to give you the tribes. So if you want to get a pen, or if you want to write this down, because this is phonetically important. It's also, when I say phonetically, meaning the reason that these tribes are named what they're named right now, and are gonna have a similar, they're gonna have similar names in the system and in the programs that you've been dealing with, because the cross, basically the top of the cross up here is going to give you now this is 33 root phonetics, because this is all that was here in 2018. So this is going to be A is 1, 2 is B, 3 is C. Okay, it's gonna be the original phonetic numerology. Okay. The top of the cross is an 11. The bottom of the cross is an 11. Now, when you're the blood, which is what I was, when you're the blood, then that blood's going to come through and it's going to drip through this cylinder and then it's going to go into the ground. And then as that blood goes into the ground, it does a whole lot more than we thought. This is why all of your wars that were fought, where they were fought, why they killed so many, why they wanted them to bleed out, even because it was all affecting the foundation that we just were talking about with this pole. But here's your pole. If I'm looking at it to my left, which is what I call the left of the cross, is a number 8. And to the right of the cross, you have number 7. The right and left of the cross, the phonetics take you 3 to the 23rd. Now, if you've been watching me and I've been talking about Zeta Reticuli, and I have this, it's a little too soon to put it out to the world yet, just a little bit. But 3 to the 23rd is Tesla math, and how I was shown all this on the January 6th download that I received in 2019. And that means that it takes it out to the 23rd dimension on a 3 Trinity count. And that same, to the right and left of the cross, the names that I'm about to read off added up to the same frequency, the right and the left, at 3 to the 23rd, same as Zeta Reticuli. So what I'm saying is, and what I'm seeing right now, which is why y'all are here, because I'm getting this right this very second, is that this Zeta layer and this Alpha Drac layer and even this layer that I was talking about that we busted through was basically connecting here to here. Was basically connecting the arms of the cross to the feet, and then all the way up through. So this area right here, which is much smaller, and then this bigger area right here. You know how I've been talking about the Monopoly board, and if this was a Monopoly board and we put some buildings and then we put a dome on it and then we charged it, well, boom shakalaka. This is that area right there. The top of the cross goes 3 to the 14th. The bottom of the cross goes 3 to the 5th. See how it's getting lower in your numerics? Now, what's 1 plus 4? 5. But is 14 and 5 the same thing? Not if you have children. Well, you know, if you go up to somebody and say, I've got 14 kids, and you go, oh, okay, well, you have 5. No, I've got 14. Now, on the flip side of that, if you have $5 and someone comes up and goes, oh, well, you've got $14, well, you kind of want that. You're like, okay, I'll believe in that. You see what I'm saying? But 14 and 5 as a phonetic and as a frequency charge are totally different. But they add up the same. The top of the cross (3 to the 11th). So it goes 13 to the 4th plus 1, 3 to the 9th plus 2, and then it breaks down to 3 to the 11th, which is 2. And 3 to the 8 is Antares. Now Antares is one of the 4 archangels. There's 4 basically what you'd call archangels. Antares would be Uriel. Antares connects all the way down to Aldebaran and it makes an X, and that was like the port in basically from these 4 periods of time and space that, if you will, are like this weird cross wheel that goes on top of this cylinder, right? And then it would go blink, and it'd leave a little opening, and then some of us would come up, and then it'd go blink, and then it'd leave a little opening, and some of us would come up. And as each of us were coming up out of here, especially if you hold a lot of cardinal energy, not mutant energy, which was what was holding this. What happened to the whole wheel is that with Zeta Reticuli and the hybridization and they had made their own, what I just described, that's lined up like this perfectly on a cardinal point in order to connect into the bottom and open it up here and here at the same time to flush it, which is how it was designed. What these Zeta Reticuli and all this did was make another X that wasn't straight across. It was a little bit off. And so basically, whenever this gate would open up, you'd come through it and you'd think you were up here, and then boop, you'd come right back. That part. 3 to the 8th on the Tesla math chart, which describes the Big Bang, is Antares. And that family line is, the top of the cross is Ephraim, Ephraim. Now notice the EP at the front. Now this is the top of the cross. Ephraim, Manasseh, man, Manassheh, Benjamin. Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin. Now, Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, that line basically had 15 beings, total of 6, because this is the 6 to 1. Oh my God, crew, this is the 6 to 1. The company that stole my company was called 6 to 1. I'm just now connecting this. 15 total, which equaled 6 beings in the fullest. So it's kind of like 6 beings were the original ones that had ended up making the 15 beings that were holding. And this is the unholy 6. Even this is where the cross was getting up and down. This is why they were turning the cross upside down. If you're on this live right now, you want to circle your calendar for this day on the 10th. This is a big one. If you're on it right now, if you're hearing this right now, congratulations, number 1. Number 2, circle this event. This is an event for you. I'm getting hot. 15 totaling 6. Now, what that ended up making was the Levites. What that ended up making was the Levites. It went into 13 of them, ended up being what you'd call the Levites. Now notice that's 13 of them, but how many are there? 15. You're missing 2. That part. The upside down cross, why the Satanists turn the cross upside down. They were turning the cross upside down in order to basically, like a flamingo, stick this line's head back in the sand. Same thing as the whole cycle of the wheel and the snake eating its tail. Well, this time we ate the snake. All of this is real stuff that was happening out in space because of the human intention down here, because it's why it was set up. Did that answer? 1001 date. Exactly. Well, and that's what's lining up tomorrow. By the way, before I keep going, the other thing that I kept hearing this morning, knowing that this was connecting, because this is all positive news, that this is all, we're connecting all of this right now. We're finally got all the riffraff out of the way at the top and the bottom, and those of us who've been in this whole process have a clear sight of what's coming in now. We don't have a bunch of smoke and mirrors and weird ass beings over here that are messing with this, which is what's been going on for the past, since Lionsgate 2021. And I kept hearing London, 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 London. I even told my crew. I sent them messages. I was like, London, 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 Paris, London. I mean, it's coming in so strong as soon as I woke up, FYI. So, because 72 teddy bears. It was always supposed to be the ascension of 1972. By the way. Now your Levites have the same energetic frequency as the aurora. Now this is your aurora borealises. This is why everyone's seeing the colors. This is why the lightning is freaking looking trippy. All of that. It's because the top of the cross up here, which is what we just talked about, all of you, the 15 of us, which then became 6 that were ruling 9. And what were we talking about yesterday? The Shadow 9. Well, again, that's when that cross flipped. We had to come back all the way up through. Because every time it flipped, we'd have to clear back up through the time. And everything that they had set up on us. This is why we've been in such 0 point for so long that we don't even know how to be normal anymore, because we're used to traveling through that cylinder and having to connect and see, and because we see things no one else sees, because we's in a time portal from hell, galactic hell, basically, coming out of it. So that's your aurora. That's the aurora borealis, is connected to the top of the cross. Okay, let's move on. The right of the cross, which is my right, okay, as I'm looking at it, equals, it goes out 3 to the 23rd plus 1. Now, whenever you do this math, everything's divisible by 3. So but you either end up with the power source at 3, like if it's 9 and I divide it by 3, then it would be 3. Well, then that's a power source because it's in and of itself. If it ended up being plus 1, then that's a program. If it's plus 2, then it's the organic charge the program's being formed from. So basically, this is even where these parallels, and it's not even that one's bad and one's good. It's that in a low cylinder, the 2 is going to reflect and build the program for 1 plus 1 in its natural state and in a simulated state. Now, the programs were then what was being manipulated. There were certain ones of us that no matter how much they thought that they had manipulated it and set it, it wasn't going to be allowed. And this is how. I mean, this is what Christ, this is Christ consciousness. We did it. I mean, we did it all together, but this is how we did it. And it all has to do with cosmos. And the forming of DNA in a million-year reset. So, right to the cross goes out to basically, so if I got 3 to the 23rd, okay, and then you add 2 plus 3, then that's 5. So, a 3 to the 23rd frequency is going to manipulate a 3 to the 5th frequency, which is Mars. And it equals 7. It equals 7. So the top of the cross is 11 or 2. The right of the cross is going to be 7. And it's Mars, basically. The right of the cross, the name of the tribes, Dan, Asher. They were trying to take ashes to the moon, correct? Naphtali. Naphtali. Dan, Asher, Naphtali. The archangels are a trip. Again, nothing's ever... The archangels are my family, yeah. Because archangels, in my world, though, the way they talk to me is a little... Like, your archangels are not... Archangels have never really had a human form in its completeness until now. Throughout my journey of walking, and I don't hear them as clearly as I did because they incarnated, which was when everything went really nuts. And this is even tied to the theories of the Elohim and all that crazy crap, right? But in my world, whenever I was hearing them clearly before they took physical form, they're like, I'd be out somewhere and I'd hear, "Come on, girl, go slap that ass." The archangels are a trip. Kind of like that movie Michael with John Travolta. That's what it felt like. That's what the archangels felt like to me. That's how they would talk to me. But they didn't have human form. So they lived vicariously through us. The same way that the Zeta Reticuli did. The same way that the Alpha Dracodics did. Azrael is not an archangel. I'm talking about the cardinal archangels. You have Uriel, which is Antares. You have Raphael, which is Regulus. You have Gabriel, which is Fomalhaut. And then you had Michael, which is Aldebaran, is what it became. But it really was Al, Deb, or Ron. Which one are you going to hook into? Part 2 on this. I'm getting down to 20% battery, and I can't charge it from this stat. So let me try to roll through this. Those are your 4 archangels. The other ones are going to be formed from a history of it. So yeah, what I would do if you know Azrael is, well, Azrael is real. That's alpha, omega, motor, alpha, change the angle. All you really need to do is cipher it. If you are knowing that there's any type of presence that are around you inside your consciousness or whatever, if it's a name, if it's an angel, whatever it is, go look up your root numerology and do the word. It will cipher it. Basically, what it does is takes its power down to a number, just like I'm telling you. And it'll clear it. But an Azrael would be an example of an alternate state. Like when I'm talking about like the cardinal points, how they lined up in the X, right? But then Azrael would basically, because if like those cardinal points are up here, then your archangels are the ones that are up here, okay? And there's 4. All those other angels that were formed are all down here. They're all down here. So it's not, they're entities, you just need to clear them and you need to elevate them. And literally. Because you might be the one that needs to clear that energy. Because Azrael's more attached to death and stuff, I think, anyway. Well, I mean, because it's Alpha, Omega, motor change, Al. Well, and what's Aldebaran and Aldenab, and I mean, everything down here was about Al. So realize, like, Azrael, even if it was a death angel or whatever, that energy was created from being trapped in here, and it needs to be freed too. It's probably on you to free it. It's on you to free it. Just free it. But realize too that energy is what allows you to move up and down in here, right? Because even Michael, this is how Michael became Michelle, and down here. If I was going to go all the way underneath the cross and all this, after you flip it, if I flip the cross upside down and then I put the 6 down here, well, that's how Michael became Michelle and Epi. Alabama. Michelle, Alabama. Break the angle. Break the owl. You can do a whole lot of it just by doing phonetics and tones now. And just breaking things out to, it's because what it'll do in your reality is take the power out of that name and give you a much, then whenever you go do the root of it, A is 1. Here, I'll do it for you right now in the old count. A is 1. Z, we might be doing it right now. That's a death angel. A is 1. Z in the old count is 8. R is 9. And I'll come on my other phone and jump back on too for a part 2. If wherever we end up is where we end up. I know for sure everything is timed to a T right now. Because we wrote this. We finished this sucker. Azreal. Well, what I'm seeing is Israel. But Israel is real wherever we are. Not wherever you say it is. I mean, in fact, I know New Orleans has been Israel before. I mean, in fact, what I saw is that where we really died on the cross, the land where we really died on the cross is now in New Orleans. Might have not started there. It's where it ended up. 189513. 189513. Now, since you've got a 1 right here, and I'm going to get a little tricky with y'all. Y'all don't have to do all this, okay? Because you could just add this up. You could go 9, 5, well, it's 999. It's 999. 1, that's 9. 1 and 8 is 9. There's 9. And then 5 and 4 is 9. So it's 999. The angel number 99 too. But 9 is an ignition. Ignite. 3 layers of death. 3 timelines. See, that's probably why that energy was able to come down into 3 dimensions. Not necessarily in a bad way, but again, we were in a cylinder putting out energy and it's interacting with us. What I see is that I've got a 1 right here and a 1 right here. And so this is where Trinity codes come in now. I didn't know this in 2018 whenever I did this, but this is how I do it now. So I'm going to go ahead and up it a notch. 8 plus 9 is 17. So that's 8. 85. Well, 85 was the year everything went nuclear. Everything, NASA. I mean, all that was connected into 1958, which is when all of that started. But 1958 and 1985, in this weird dropping down to the bottom of a hole in a time loop that we were in this lifetime, because we were. So 1985, 31. So that becomes a 4. So what I'm seeing is all this adds up to a 4. So then I have 1, 4, 1, 3. Oh, Rock Vision. Ding, 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 ding. I knew I needed y'all. We're on day 3. We just had the flip. We're past the hump. We're on day 3 of the 4 right now. Tomorrow's the new moon, and then we hit our last 0 point day. So this is significant. 1413. Now I see 141. Now when you have any numbers that are showing up in these Trinity codes, and you have the same number on the outside, they're Trinity codes. And whenever you start noticing these, okay, then what you're doing is breaking down the Trinity. If your energy is coming up through the cylinder, when you hit a point, everything's triangulated. Everything was triangulated. They were using Tesla math. They used all the Tesla stolen codes. Everything had to do with Trinity degrees, including the 2020 alignment, which is where this new moon is lining up on to get us the F out of it. Okay. So 1 plus 4 is 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. So that's 553. If I just go 5 plus 5 and I don't go crazy quantum on your ass, then that's 103. 04. Well, funny thing is, do you know how much money I won in Las Vegas and cashed out? $301. Exactly. It's been a thing since Las Vegas. 103 equals 1004. So 55.3. Now I'm going to go a little freaking, I got to go quantum on you. See, I'm kind of showing you the stages too. What I'm doing is showing you the math, and I'll definitely upload this on YouTube. What I'm showing you is the math, because we started out at the root and we just did it at the root. Well, that gets you about right here. Then we had to add it all up together and get this number. Okay, that's going to get you right about here. This 55.3 is going to get you. It is going to get you to the zeta layer. Now, when you get up here, whether it's here or it was flipped down here, now you're dealing with the quantum. Because now you're dealing with human intention. Now you're dealing with what humans made in those spiritual realms from doing whatever. Hawk. I just heard a crow, but I heard hawk. 55, the 55th dimension, because this is 555. This is even how 5D. Okay, but you go all the when you clear, you go all the way up to the 55th dimension. Well, guess what? When you get to the 55th dimension, you can't go any further. If you go any further, you're gonna lose your human code. It like you get outside of the human bubble. Okay, so what happens is you mirror back down. What's today's date, Rock Vision? 555 becomes 1001, y'all. Because it basically flips and mirrors. So you've got to, and what's Google? So it's 10013. Well, we've been talking about October 13th. I know there's an extra 0 in there, but I mean, see what I'm talking about. This is how even the dates start happening of events in our past. That October 13th date would be the 1972 crash the plane crash where the children had to eat each other and shit. That whole thing was set up on purpose in order to manipulate the entire current, because in 1972, they knew that we was incarnating. from out there. 1972, they knew everything was connecting. We were little bitty babies. They were supposed to be watching over us, but instead they did a little swip swap here and a swip swap there. And then they just went, and ching chakalaka. The whole world went unconscious. Because everybody lost their connection even to Nibiru. You lost your connect because those of us that were out there, we finally got in here. And when we finally got in here, we weren't up there. When we got in here, and then we got in a human form, and then everybody decided to change what families we were in and where we were going and where we were and convince us that we weren't who we were. Worked for a while. 1004. So basically it's 005. It's 005. Azrael, and so it's 005 in one dimension. And 04 in another dimension. And what are we talking about? The fourth day. And 4 days. And the 4. And 4 is an anchor. So that's the 2 frequencies for that same what you'd call an angel. But Azrael is one dude to call from death. Also, they sent us a bunch of death spells. None of the death angels came after us. They knew that we were freeing them. So okay, keep calling the death angels towards the ascended. Go ahead. Thank you. Thanks for bringing our family home. That part. Isn't it mind-blowing? It really is. And the more that you understand this, the more that you can change your reality with physics. Let me tell you, we bound the demon of hell in New Orleans with physics. When it showed itself to me, because it did, wind is going nuts here all of a sudden. It showed itself to me on Bourbon Street. And I walked straight into the bar, got a napkin, and did a bunch of physics. And that is how we tied it up. The more consciousness that you have of how your number frequencies work in the matrix and the reality, it's how you flip it. If you're, this is why I'm one of this, and I couldn't train y'all on all of this until we got into a clear point, because basically I would have been teaching the ops. I'm almost to the point where I can get on and show you this numerology. But even if you just right now, just use the old numerology. Go pull it up. It's A is 1. It gets to H and it's going to go to 8, and then I is 9, and then it starts over again. Do your alphabet. Go out in the matrix. Scry your street name as soon as you get there in the car. Wherever you park, do this little experiment for me, because I'm fixing to have to hang up here and start another live. Do this experiment for me. I want you to go between now and the weekend. Y'all will know where to go, because we're all talking to you in the ethers. You'll know when to go. Between how many is on here? 11. Between now and the end of the weekend, I want you to go somewhere. Ask your guides where you need to go. Figure out when you're going to leave the house, okay? And I want you to go out, and I want you to when you get there, what is the street that you're on? Where are you parked? I don't care where the building is you're going in. When you physically scry it, and scry I mean do the phonetics, undo the spell of the road. What road you're on. Then I want you to take a little piece of paper, do it on your calculator, be better to write it down, because whenever you write it down, the some other dimensions, which you'd consider more ancestor lower dimensions, see it. Whenever you scry it, it's a lower tech dimension that sees it. I would write it down. Write down the numbers. If you're on Houston Street, which is where this bomb exploded, and so 8631265 Houston. Then I want you to add it up, and then I want you to add it up, And then I want you to add it up. I want you to get it down to the lowest, to one number, two numbers, three numbers, however low you can get it. Because what you're doing is taking for instance, a 23rd dimension experience, and you're bringing it down to a 5th dimensional experience just by scrying the word. And then I want you to go and do whatever you were going to do. And I want you to watch it flip, and it's going to blow your Cocker Spaniel. Because your energy is going to hold the other experience, a more clean experience. Okay? All right, I'm going to have to hang up before this goes. Thank y'all for the hearts. If y'all want to, I have 69 hearts right now and 11 on. What time is it? $12:21. It's 12:21 right now. And 12:21 is where Venus went retro to. I'll be back. Hang tight.